let's talk about these fraud syndicates. How do they work?
That is a very, very interesting question. A lot of them have got contacts inside some financial institutions.
That's scary.
It is. It is. It does happen. A couple of years ago, we had situations where they had paid off staff members inside banks to commit check fraud, where somebody in the bank would go and see which check leaflet, which physical check is still in the checkbook, and they'd supply these fraudsters with those details. It happened a lot on trust accounts. They would manufacture fraudulently a check, go and cash that check, and the client would later find out that this check's gone through my bank account, but it's actually still in my checkbook. The same applies to debit order fraud. There are fraudsters out there. There are ways and means to get bank account details since they're in the public domain, and it's actually very, very easy to do.
Well, I can think of more than a handful of people who have my bank account details right now, so you're actually scaring me a little bit. Now, how do we protect ourselves?
You check your bank statements regularly, almost on a weekly basis, to ensure that all the transactions that have gone off your bank account are legitimate transactions, that you did authorize those transactions and you know what they're for. If you didn't, contact your bank immediately and dispute the transaction in question.
Now, in your opinion, is debit order fraud worse in South Africa than maybe other developing countries, or does it?
I don't think it's worse. South Africa is unique. We've got a very unique banking system. It's one of the most advanced in the world, but debit orders are used very frequently off bank accounts in South Africa. At SagePay, we do debit orders against bank accounts and credit card accounts. So it's just recurring billing. Whereas if you look at the UK and the US, the majority of the markets there only do recurring billing against credit card accounts.
Now, as an entrepreneur, do things like debit order fraud, credit card fraud, do things like this keep you up at night?
No, not really. It is something that is a concern, yes. But if you've got the right policies and procedures in place to protect yourself and to protect the consumer at the end of the day, there's really no need to worry for this. You've got to make provision for it because it will happen. Statistically, about 10 to 12% of all debit orders do return as unpaid items. It depends on the industry that you work in, but there's checks and balances that any business can put in place to protect themselves.